Good morning. Market Day Report is on the air. We're set and ready to start our trading. That happens in about 15 minutes. But how about the overnight session? What happened there? Well, let's go quickly before we get to Brian Hoops and start dissecting the latest weekly export sales report. Overnight action, December corn, 454 3/4. It was lower, down 3/4 of a penny. For soybeans, November, 4.5 lower, 1047 3/4. Now, the corn market's been higher 3 consecutive sessions, and that November contract for beans has been higher 4 consecutive sessions. Wheat market's been higher 3 consecutive sessions. Overnight, though, July Chicago, 548.5 in the red. July hard red, penny higher, 541.5, and December spring wheat, 637, penny and a quarter higher. Finally, cotton market has struggled overnight, 68.21, down a half penny. All right, weekly export sales out. President, Midwest Market Solutions, is Brian Hoops. Brian, I think the one that jumped out at me was marketing year low for soybean inspections. But other than that, any other highlights?
Hey, Tony, good morning. Yeah, it was pretty routine report in here. Not going to get anyone real excited. We're almost done with this old crop marketing year for wheat and just a couple weeks left. So they're rolling sales out of the old crop into the new crop. So we had a small net reduction for old crop, but the new crop was 32.4 million bushels, really a strong number for wheat. That really stood out there and helped us rally off of our overnight lows into the closing segment at 7:45 this morning. Corn sales were okay. They were decent for old crop at 46.9, new crop at about 8.6, old crop beans 11.3, with new crop at just 0.6, a very small number there. The soybean number is definitely slowing down, and we see that as South American supplies are competing with the U.S. We saw a small bump when Argentina was behind on their harvest. They started to ramp back up, but now they're starting to see floods once again. So in our future sales, we may see a slowdown in Argentina export business because of that harvest delays once again, and that could help the U.S. sales out once again. No private sales to talk about this morning. Really not that much as far as a bump going to come out of these export numbers. We're going to go back to trading near-term weather. We have wheat harvest starting in parts of Texas. They want the temperatures to warm up, dry things out to help that harvest along. It's going to be warm across a lot of that western parts of Kansas, western Oklahoma, and fairly dry through the weekend, with rains really in the eastern parts of the state, maybe closer to Wichita, Tulsa, Oklahoma areas. Then we're going to see a lot of rain here in Springfield as well. So we'll need to dry out after that to get ready for the harvest. But grain markets, really a lot of producers telling us that the yield, the fields, and the stands all looking really good. Some areas certainly need a little bit more moisture than what they receive, but a lot of areas are in great shape. And then we do have a holiday Monday with Memorial Day. So our weekly crop progress conditions report will come out Tuesday afternoon, and that'll be our first glimpse of crop ratings for both the corn and the soybean markets. And we expect they to be very high ratings on Tuesday.
You mentioned the Memorial Day weekend coming up, official kickoff to the summer grilling season. So we'll come back and we'll talk about what we might be putting on that grill with Brian Hoops. Market Day Report continues in a moment. Quickly on the cash cattle this week, 230, 231 in the north, dressed to 360, 365, and some bids in the south at 230. Not seeing anybody take those, though, so we'll watch and see what happens today. All right, yesterday, cattle market finished in higher territory. August live cattle up 80, 208.65. And for the feeders moving lower, August 296.42, down $1.07. And then over to the hog trade, and we saw hogs in the red July contract at 102.52, down $1.02. We're covering most of what you might put on the grill with the Memorial Day weekend coming up and a cattle on feed report coming up tomorrow. Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions, thoughts going ahead?
And cold storage tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock as well. Our beef sales this morning, 12.3 million tons with shipments at 14.8, pretty much routine numbers. Pork sales were good at 37.4, shipments at 28.5. These numbers aren't really going to move the needle whatsoever. It's the cash trade yesterday that we saw developing, to see bids develop on a Wednesday is usually a friendly sign. And then after the close, we heard some cash trade in the north, that dress trade, several dollars, $3 to $7 better than the prior week, and a couple dollars higher on a live basis in the north, sets us up for strong trade today and Friday in the Southern Plains. Our packer margins are improving because the cutouts have improved this week, but these higher cash trade that we're seeing today and yesterday will no doubt hurt those margins once again. But very strong cash news, should be strong for the futures market here. I know people are pointing towards the technical weakness we saw with that big reversal last week, but June has such a huge discount as well as the other months to this cash markets. You really have to believe the cash is going to really drop out of bed, and these cattle on feed numbers that we're seeing Friday don't suggest that's going to happen anytime soon. They look to be fairly friendly numbers, about a couple percent less on feed and about 3.5% less being placed into the feedlots at this time.
Okay, Brian, thanks for coming in. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions. Live cattle, can they do it the 5th consecutive day with a higher close? We'll find out at the end of the session today as we get ready for the long Memorial Day weekend and fire up the grill, Tammy.